You know how I do it in this channel. Lots of staring, lots of... This is the ugliest dead cat I've ever seen. In my last video, I talked about TM, and I promised I would talk about TM again, and more particularly the wider effects of TM. And that video was kind of fast. I was cutting all over the place, but we're gonna slow things down because I'm not doing all that editing, goddamn. And if you're not new to this channel, you'll know that I stare into the camera for like 30 seconds at a time without saying anything. That's normal content on this channel. Go check the past videos. Okay, so what I really wanted to talk about today is the wider effects of TM, more particularly the Maharishi Effect. So Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the man responsible for bringing TM to the West, the Maharishi predicted that if 1% of the population was doing TM, it would produce noticeable effects and improvements in quality of life in a certain population. So basically, it's a group of people meditating together at the same time produces effects non-locally in the environment, even for people who aren't doing TM. It was a prediction Maharishi made in the 60s, but it was later actually reported in 1974 that if 1% of the population was engaged in TM, crime in the entire community went down by 16%. And later, through peace-creating groups, the Maharishi peace-creating groups, the cities, they discovered that all that was needed to produce measurable results was the square root of 1% of a population. For example, in a city of 4 million, that's only 200 meditators. And there's been a lot of research about this topic, actually an insane amount of research about this topic, because it's kind of unbelievable. It's so reliable that cities are able to predict and allocate, say, police, because they know that they will see a drop when these people are meditating. It's pretty remarkable. So this was put to the test under really close scrutiny in 1993 in a study they did in Washington, D.C. I have some notes here. Basically, the maximum decrease in violent crimes was 23.3%. The statistical probability that this result could reflect chance variation in crime levels was less than 2 in 1 billion. So as I was saying in the last video, we produce things outside of our own bodies. We have power that's outside of ourselves. You can affect a collective consciousness. There is a collective consciousness. It is a real thing, I assure you. This is why the things you do matter, and this is why the things you project outside of yourself matter. So the things you can do can either weaken or help your environment and the people around you. You can either move towards, say, the light or the darkness. Subconsciously, we know that this is how negativity and positivity spreads. It's often that entire environments are blanketed in negativity, while certain environments are positive. I don't believe this is just limited to TM. This is something that is just more related to energy in general. So this is something that's been researched to death. There's literally like 2,000 studies on this. And if you're familiar with the David Lynch Foundation, you know that they teach TM to underserved communities and schools, children in kind of the roughest areas of the United States, and they do work in other countries as well. Right now, TM is being used in some of the roughest schools in Chicago. These are some of the most violent schools in the country, and the results have been incredible. Huge drops in crime and improvements in grades and well-being of students. It's something that's so powerful that this program called Quiet Time, where essentially they teach kids to do TM for like 10 minutes at a time. The results are so incredible that the federal government is giving the foundation Title I funding to teach kids to meditate. The government is teaching kids to meditate. And this is after exhausting so many other different attempts to curb violence in schools. This works because the effects take place at the deepest levels. I'll say it again, the government is giving Title I funding to schools to teach kids to meditate. So because of this, it's truly a scientific fact. We know now that consciousness is non-local, and I think it's similar to, Maybe some law of attraction things, saying you're going to have a bad day will produce that result, and really your intentions cause reality. And with TM, you naturally and consistently experience a reality that is true and that is peaceful. TM naturally and consistently brings positivity, energy, and peace. These results are so strong at such a small number. Imagine the scale, a square root of 1% producing a reduction in crime of 23.3%. How much would it take to reduce crime by, say, 50%? It doesn't seem like there'd be a linear relationship here. I think the results would be exponential. So just imagine the scale. This is something you can do that actually changes the world. And it's easy and it's good for you. As someone who meditates and does TM, I know the effects of mass meditation. I've done group meditations, small group meditations, but I've also done mass meditations through the internet. There's certain programs going on right now, and I sometimes will meditate with up to a couple thousand people, which is pretty incredible. As someone who does this, you can really feel the difference when there's other people meditating with you, whether it's in person or across the internet, and it's a lot more powerful. So basically, scheduled times where many people are meditating at the same time can produce these results. And right now, this is what's happening online. There's lots of programs with the Maharishi Institute where they're scheduling these kinds of events to create coherency around the world. And that's people meditating at the same time all around the world, because this produces coherency in the collective consciousness to boost these effects. And it is peace creating in nature. So I guess what I want to say is consider your ability to affect change. Consider maybe not so much doing things from the outside in. Consider what you can do from the inside out. Because from what I can tell, this is how you produce real change. And there's science to back it up. So this is one way you do that, and this is one of the most proven ways to do that. These are our higher faculties. They say we only use like 10% of our brain. When you do TM, you have full brain coherence. All parts of your brain are active. We have higher faculties. In the West, we like to say that intellect is mind. Intellect is a tool of the mind. We have other tools in our mind. We have other things that are able to be activated through our mind. So don't limit yourself to strictly intellect. Experience higher forms of reality. There are more things available to us. We are a high form of creation. Don't doubt yourself. Finally, fight back against the waves of darkness and permeate the light. This was the vision I think Maharishi had. Even though things are dark and negativity is spread in the same fashion as this positive energy is, why not permeate light? And I believe awareness is growing despite how things may seem, despite the attempts to influence you negatively through the outside world. Of course, the media, lots of toxic things going on. But you can fight back. You can let it not affect you. You can live from the inside out and project positivity. So there you have it, the Maharishi Effect, a real way to change the world, influence your environment, create change, create peace, scientifically proven, rigorously studied, supported by advancing sciences, social sciences, quantum physics. It's a wonderful thing. So I guess just know that despite all the noise, the truth is there is calmness within each of us, and we naturally will go towards the light. That's what TM does. So if you're feeling distraught, you're feeling affected by these other things, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think the technique works. It will work if you don't think it works. I mean, you have to intend to do it. You have to do the technique, but you don't have to believe in the technique for it to work. So just consider the implications. Anyway, that's all for today. I'll be back with some other videos pretty soon here. Thanks for watching. Consider sharing and maybe consider learning TM. It'd be good for you. It'd be good for me too. It would. And everyone else. So things to consider. Thank you.